Hey, so welcome to episode 7. And not a whole lot of preamble here. This concludes the interview. And Jon just talks about, he caps off what we saw in the last video, a little bit more of his spiritual journey, his outlook on the United States, and honestly, what he might or might not be doing as related to Iced Earth or other musical projects. After that video, we have one more video, and it will be just an in conclusion. So probably pretty short, to the point, because I've given a lot of thoughts during this interview anyway. So enough of my yapping. Let's get to it.
But I don't have the anger. But my anger before, my righteous indignation, it was anger.
Yeah.
You know, it was all the things. Was definitely more aggressive. Now it's not that way.
Yeah.
You know, like I want to help people. I don't want to judge and come off from a place like I've been through the grinder. I've been broken, and I've literally seen the light now. So I would rather try to help people see the light than to be angry at the world, which is fallen. We're in a fallen state.
Absolutely.
It's a fallen state of existence. It's been, and that's what's pretty amazing about the Bible, and it's the operator's manual for our life, and it's the same. It's just we just keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
You know, and for thousands of years, it just keeps going on and on.
According to the Bible, you can cure your child for back
I just
talking.
think
Keep that in mind.
A relationship with Christ changes that. It changes that. I don't know how. Like I hope that however God wants to use me going forward, I'm down with. I don't know what that's going to look like. He gave me the gift of music. If that's what I'm called to do, then it will be to glorify Him, and I hope to be able to help reach people that are lost and that are suffering, because there's a lot of that going on.
Yep.
And it's just not necessary. Like you said, that it's hard. It's not easy. It is simple. The hard part is you've got to let go of your ego. That's really a hard part for human beings. Like you have to let go of your ego.
Yeah.
You have to stop leaning on your own understanding, because you don't have a clue.
Yeah.
You know, that's the first step. And I mean, I'm just as guilty as everybody else of being trapped in the world, and you know, it's.
Yeah.
But there's just a true sense of peace and strength, calmness. You know, I mean, I've been in fight or flight mode for over 4 years now, and obviously it was at a much higher level, but it's coming down.
Yeah.
And having civil case dismissed is an answer to prayer, and that helped it come down. It's going to take a little while, but it's still, it's like it's not. I just think that's still.
That prayer didn't work until Trump was elected, did it? Think that prayer would have kicked in if so did God put Trump in office to pardon John, or did it just happen to work out that way? This justification is frustrating. It's frustrating. I don't get how people surrender so much reason and logic to make themselves feel better. And that's an argument from Christianity, is like, if this gives this person peace, then who are you to say something against it? I'm no one. I'm just pointing out the obvious, reasonable, logical flaw in it. It's not an atheist argument. It's not an agnostic argument. It is a reasonable, logical argument.
Me, still being human and staying in my head too much.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, trying to take too much of the pressure onto yourself versus just trusting God on it. Yeah, that's going to be a struggle. I mean, I say it's going to be a struggle.
Trying to figure it out yourself instead of trusting God to do it.
But
I don't know if any of us can truly get over that until we're on to the next life. I don't know if it's maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there. I would like to try, but I mean, it's not. You know, there's a the more we try, usually, especially like that's why I'm being very cautious now about trying to make plans or to think about.
Yeah. You're not sure how God's going to direct you in the next
right.
thing. Yeah.
And I don't want to like it. I don't want to push something that I want to do.
Yeah.
It's not going to work out well.
So let's talk about the resolution of the January 6th stuff, because obviously that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's been obviously a weight on your shoulders the entire time that I've known you for the last 2 years. Has been, I got a court, I have sentencing coming up, and then it comes and passes and gets moved back, and then I got sentencing coming up, and then comes and passes, moves around. Then finally we had sentencing happen back in the fall, and I think everybody should know by now, but sentencing happened. You were given 3 years probation. Is that right?
Right.
And then what happened after the election?
The president kept his word.
Yeah. Got a pardon, huh?
Yeah. He's been. I think he's the only politician in my lifetime that does what he says he's going to do.
I agree with that.
Do I agree with him on every single thing? Nope.
No,
Will
of course
I agree
not.
with everybody on every single thing? Nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Not gonna.
he's a man of honor.
Yep.
That's for sure. Say a lot of things about him, but
Yeah.
so, but I mean that's I think it's important for the healing of the country because obviously there's many people who are brainwashed by the narrative.
Yep.
People think I was a rat against the Oath Keepers, like I had some kind of information. I had no information about what those guys were
No, of course
doing.
not.
That's in my little bubble. We got half of the country believes that people were there for a
That
violent
was
insurrection.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Because that's been repeated over and over and over by the fake news and the mockingbird media. So we have got to have some serious truths laid out to the American people, whatever that's going to end up looking like. I think it's coming.
Yep.
And there's going to be those that are so locked and under mind control that they're not going to be able to handle it or won't accept it or whatever. But there's a horrible evil, and it doesn't have anything to do with the political party. There's evil in both parties, in this country and everywhere. And so maybe some big truth bombs are going to come out that will shock the populace to a point that we can truly heal and come back together because, I believe deeply in our Bill of Rights, in the Constitution, and especially that glorious, beautiful Declaration of Independence. I mean, that is the document for me. And I just think that we have to be shocked. We have to go through something that's going to make people, we got to come together, man. We got to come together and get back to being Americans. And I think only the truth is going to do that at this point. I think it's going to be so much, if things come out that I think, I'm pretty convinced have been going on and becomes mainstream, then it'd be the thing that I can't see how it couldn't bring us all together. You just can't see how it couldn't, because
I think that was I actually think one of the worst and best things that happened was Donald Trump losing in 2020. Donald Trump, when he came into office and he had those 4 years, he was in constant battle. He's trying to figure out the job, trying to figure out what to do. There was a lot of stumbling blocks. He got some wrong people. He didn't find out till after he left how the military and NSA, FBI were lying to him. He didn't find all that out till later. I think Trump and the country needed that 4 years. Now, as much as President Trump went through where they're trying to throw him in jail, I cannot, and just as an aside, I can't wait to see what Barron Trump becomes, because something tells me he is going to be a stone cold killer as a politician. But it was, those 4 years was a wake-up call to a lot of people's, like, look what we had. Then in the last year of the presidency, here comes government overreach with the pandemic. Then we had 4 years of one of the worst presidents of not only modern day, but just in the history of our country. It showed how much this country needed Donald Trump, that he swept all the swing states, that he got not only the Electoral College, but he got the popular vote. I don't think that happens without going through one of the worst periods of time I personally believe it was worse economically than it was in the late 1970s. It was just so horrifically bad. But again, I'm experiencing this as an adult as opposed to when I was a kid in the 70s. I hadn't really looked up the criteria, but that's the one I felt, right? It's almost like, even though I don't necessarily agree with the sentiment, you can't appreciate good without evil. You can't appreciate light without dark. I think you can, because I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. Appreciated so much his first his first outing as president, and it made such a huge difference in my life economically, and just as an American, being actually proud of this president. You know, I thought he was just a reality TV star and this personality. It turned out he was a fantastic president in spite of all the obstacles. And now I could not vote for him fast enough in 2020. I could not vote for him fast enough in 2024. And I am so relieved that he is now the president of the United States and came in with an agenda, knowing what he was going to face, and has been executing like an absolute boss. It has been amazing.
There's code in prison for people that hurt children. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's a line in the sand.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
There's a
Robbers,
very, very
killers,
small
murderers
group
are
of
still
people that
dads.
think that's okay.
Yep.
There's a lot
Except
more
California,
of us.
they want it to just be a sexual orientation.
Yeah, well,
Children and rapists.
I mean, but most of the people are not okay with that. So
Yep.
I just think that even some of those people, as brainwashed,
Yep.
whatever, I think when the real crimes against the children get exposed, then it's going to be a thing that, if anything, can unite us in terms of in the world and in politics. I mean,
Without a doubt. Especially what the rainbow community is doing.
I see that as being a chance. But anyway, it's God's plan that's rolling out, and there's no stopping that.
You know.
So,
What would you like, I guess, a few questions here. What would you like to see President Trump do with the country to kind of hopefully steer it in the right direction?
I think, as he says, success, which is, I mean, common sense stuff. You know, common sense, this running the country is similar to a business, whether they say that or not, it is. I mean, we've just been gutted and sold out by a horrible group of people for a really long time. And so I think success will be, like he says, one of the things that will bring the country together. But at the same time, we got to have justice. I mean, it's never going to heal if we don't have, even if what we grew up with was partly the illusion of freedom, and we got rocked that, no, it's really kind of all been hijacked and it's all a lie. In order to bring us back together, it's not just him. they have to bring back confidence in the justice system.
Mm-hmm.
Got to have confidence in elections.
Yep.
If we don't have that, and I don't want to hear the term democracy, democracy, democracy. Like,
Yep.
dude, sorry to break it to you guys, we're not a democracy.
Yep.
Well, we have become, actually, but that's always the step before tyranny, always throughout history. And so, when we're guaranteed a Republican form of government, and that doesn't have anything to do with the Republican Party.
Yep.
It has to
Yep.
do with the concept that it's a nation of laws where 99% of the people cannot take the rights of 1%. That's the idea. Not a democracy where 51% of the people can take the rights of 49.
Mm-hmm.
That's bad. Like, the only way that works is if we're in some kind of utopia where everybody gets true and accurate information.
Yep.
I mean, and has a very educated vote on the matter. But if you're being deceived over here and here and here and here and here, and you're voting on some really important issue, and you're clueless about your history, about what the issue is, you're being lied to by every media outlet out there, how are you going to cast a good vote? You're going to go with the mob, and the mob is going to steal everybody else's stuff, and then it's going to turn into a brutal authoritarian dictatorship. So I'm sick of hearing about it.
That's why I voted for the first time when I was 18, and I have been voted in every election. As you get older, you realize that, like, Democrats have actually pushed a program where they want the voting age lowered because they want idiot voters. Where I believe you shouldn't be able to vote until you're 25. And on top of that, I believe there should be some sort of civics test to know who your representatives are, to know what the issues are. You don't have to know them in and out where you can argue them in debate, but you should know enough. Because it used to be that voting was landowners, and they're going to put every racist connotation of this. That was only white men or whatever, but it was landowners, and it was men, and it was people who had jobs. Yeah, it was people who were invested in the country, not just wanting to leech off of it. I think that's what it should still be. I think there should be a criteria for voting. Voting is it. For a long time, we didn't vote for presidents. Presidents were elected because we sent representatives from our state to Washington, and they put the president in charge. So it's bringing the masses in to vote for whoever's president was a detriment, not a positive. You should be invested in this country to a degree to be able to vote. That's my opinion, but yeah.
It's going to turn into a brutal authoritarian dictatorship. So I'm sick of hearing about democracy.
Yeah.
Our founding fathers hated democracy.
Yeah.
So
Read the Federalist Papers.
sorry about that, but that's just the way it is.
Another question too, for anybody that may see this or watch or listen to this, is there anything that you'd like to say or recommend to them or encourage them to do or say anything to them, I guess?
Well, I mean, I would just, I don't know what, there's a lot, but the biggest thing to me is that if you don't have a relationship with Christ, you should investigate that. If you're struggling in any of the ways, and you really surrender your ego, man, you got to let it go. Open your heart. Ask for forgiveness, and you'll get it. And you'll get something that's very hard to put into words. But that's, I mean, as you said earlier, God gave us free will. And some people are going to have to go through really tough things, like I did, to get there. And I hope it's not like that for other people.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, as long as we arrive, right? It's all good.
Learn from Jon Schaffer's mistakes and don't
Yeah.
have to spend time and solitary confinement or hit rock
Well,
bottom.
and that that was just a part of it. There's been a lot of things, and I think there's a certain, I don't know, you would probably know better. I feel like there's people that choose God and there's people that God chooses.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say my only advice is if you haven't, you should probably look into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier, we do have free will, but we know that God's will is that we'd all be saved, that we'd all come to Him,
Yeah.
like any good father, right?
Right. But we're in a toxic, narcissistic society, and that's exactly what the system wants.
Yep.
So it's up to us to try to change that. We got to be the light in the dark world, and the world is a very dark place.
Yep.
It's gorgeous, It's, the world itself is an amazing creation, and people have these moments that are just spectacular, where you can see God's work coming through them in times of crisis or whatever. That they're, and it's just also it's a dark place for a lot of people, and there's a way out. That's all I would say. And all you got to do is just open your heart to it, and there's plenty of information out there. I think we're in a really amazing time of revival and rejuvenation of the soul, and I just think people are waking up, man.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter if it starts with Monsanto or whatever, whatever
Yep.
the thing is, the financial system, whatever it is that gets you on the path in 9/11, JFK, whatever, all the things, the jab,
Yep.
all of it is it's fertile ground right now, so we should try to make the most of it. And I don't really know what I'm going to do yet. But
Yeah. That was next. What do you think? I know you said you don't want to make any set plans, but if you had any idea what's next for Jon Schaffer?
I mean, there's just in terms of, there's a few releases that I got up my sleeve that we're going to be working on in terms of new material. I'm going to give that a little bit of time. I want it to I need to know that there's clear artistic direction and not something that's manufactured
Yep.
by me.
Yep.
Because I've done enough records in my career to know, some of them were wedged into schedules because tours on either side, and you're kind of forced into a writing mode because of schedule pressures and other commitments. And sometimes working under pressure is really great.
Yeah.
Other times you're going through the motions. And
Yeah.
so whatever I would do going forward, I only want to do something that's going to be great.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to be forced.
Yeah.
So, and I want it to glorify God. And I think there's just so much when it, from a creative standpoint. It's actually been some biblical stuff throughout my catalog anyway, but from the eyes of a Christian now, man, there's so much inspiration there.
I mean, that's positive stuff. I mean, obviously the first thing that comes to mind is Melancholy, stuff off the Dark Saga release, and just really kind of scattered throughout. Him going completely Christian and making it, I mean, that could be a great thing too. Some of my favorite bands are bands that would be called Christian bands, not just the Stripers and stuff, but like Deliverance is an amazing band. Sacred Warrior were phenomenal. I hate they didn't put out more material. Tourniquet is another. I mean, there were just so Mastodon, John Elefante of ex Kansas. There are so many good bands who are religious, and then you have bands that were pushed to secular who are religious themselves. Lethal, that were on Metal Blade Records, King's X, of course. So that is a positive thing, and I really do. I mean, whatever John puts out, I'm going to listen to it. I listen to Christian music, I listen to secular music, I listen to satanic music, Nocturnus, Behemoth, quote unquote Merciful Fate, King Diamond, if that's satanic, with those elements. It doesn't matter as long as the music's good and it just seems like there's actual purpose behind the music. I want to hear it. So whatever John does, I am really looking forward if he does anything. It just doesn't seem that he's in the mindset right now. But again, he's out. He's just kind of reclaiming his freedom and getting on the other side of all this trauma that was put onto him by the United States government for the last 4 years. And so we'll see. We'll see if it becomes a full-on Christian-oriented album or if it has secular tenets to it, whatever. What I would like to do is never, ever hear Stu Block's voice again. I don't care if he gets Matt Barlow back. I mean, Matt's a good guy. I highly doubt Tim Owens would. Honestly, Mike LaPond from Symphony X, they toured with Symphony X, and he's a big fan of his. Sean Peck from Cage, who would be a tremendously good vocalist for Iced Earth. I think that would be a good idea too. So, what can you do? But I'm really interested in seeing what John has to do. So I'm going to let this wrap up, and I'll probably do a conclusion video after this episode, and that'll be that. So let's go ahead and finish this up.
Hopefully there's so much inspiration there that hopefully would have a good effect on people. So I hope that comes back to me. I hope that it's like, okay, it's time, activate.
Yeah.
wanting to write.
But I don't know. Right now, like it was just Friday this past week where I got a call that the civil case is dismissed, and really when you consider the level of stress and pressure and fight or flight,
Most
PTSD,
definitely.
and all the things, the financial wrecking, all of the things. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to
Decompress.
come completely out of this. Although I'm cool and calm with what's happening, I do view it as a gift and a blessing. It's still like I'm a human living in the world, and I think it's just going to take a little bit of time to feel free again.
Yeah.
Even if it was all an illusion anyway. With my lifestyle, man, I felt like I was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, but when I started waking up, I knew it was all BS. So,
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That was a long, but I don't really know.
Yeah. You threw out some good teasers.
Yeah.
And plus, too, you're leaving it open. Like, you can't force creativity.
No.
And
I could, but it's not going to be great. I want it to be great.
Yeah. You got a track record now. You can't go break it now.
Yeah. I mean, there's been some. I know the rough spots in the catalog. I mean, I know how it works.
Yeah.
So. And if that's my calling and to be creative again, then I'll do it.
Yep.
But I don't know. I want to. It's got to be something. So, it'll move me. I'll know it.
Yeah.
Put it that way. Like it'll be unstoppable.
Yep.
That's the way it was before. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, there it comes. I can't stop it. It's going. So it'll be like, but we'll see. Yep. That's not on my timeline. It's not my timeline. I've surrendered that.
All right. Least important question of the night, but one that I'll ask anyway. All right. Out of those two guitars, which one's your favorite?
That one sounds better.
That one's
Yep.
That's not an answer.
It's
That is an answer.
It does, man.
Yeah.
It really does. Like I used that album or that guitar on Dystopia, and I layered half the rhythm stacks with this and half with one of my Les Pauls that I named Smokin' Joe. It's got a tobacco burst top on it, and that one never goes. That's a studio guitar only.
Okay.
That's one of my secret weapons.
Ah.
But those two together, they really made quite a nice match.
Does that one have a name other than Don't Tread on Me?
No, just
Nope.
Don't Tread.
Yeah, Don't Tread.
Yeah, I think that's what my tech would name them some of the times.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so, yeah, I named some of my Les Pauls, I named them all after generals, usually
Oh, really?
Civil War generals. Yeah. Yeah, so,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, that's what's written on the cases, but yeah, no, this one is cool. I love the paint job on this, and it's good, but it was, from a tone standpoint, that one destroys it in the studio.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which is a completely different animal than playing on stage through a PA system and stuff. So you get all, like, you're under a microscope in the studio, and the tone of that thing is, it's the pickup that's in it is married perfectly for that chunk of wood. And sometimes you just have that combination that's like,
Yeah.
what? You know, not all of them are like that.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
No.
Definitely
No.
not.
I know we were telling some guitar stories earlier, so it sounds like you got quite the wide gambit, and
Yeah.
some of them that are still stuck over in Europe. And
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've sold a lot of gear to be able to get through all this, and I was
That's a
blessed
shame.
to have it. Thank God that I had that. There were a lot of people that didn't have anything and had to deal with public defenders, and
Yeah.
so, and thank God that we had a really successful Demons and Wizards cycle and period, and that helped. So, but yeah, I've still got enough in the arsenal to do.
so
what needs
music
to be
can
done.
still happen yeah.
Yeah.
Music can still happen. All right, that's what people wanted to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to me. I know
Yeah,
we're
my
probably
pleasure, man.
running out of memory card space,
Yeah.
but
Well, it's been long, but I think it's good, and
Yeah.
I hope that people get something out of it, and I hope that the truth it's coming out.
Yep.
It's unstoppable. So I hope that people will be open to seeing this and hearing it, and we're in for a wild ride.
Yep. I appreciate you sharing your story and trusting me to be here for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I appreciate you doing it, man.
Yep. All right. Thanks, man.
All right, brother.
All right, so there you go. And that was the interview. I think this is going to end up being episode 7. And so I'll do one more episode where I'm just talking about in conclusion, so it won't be that long at all. But it looks like there's some promise there may be some iced earth. That would be really cool. Right now, he is just dealing with life, getting back into life, kind of throwing all that stuff behind him. So anyway, if you stuck with me this long and you stuck with the interview this long, it was very enlightening, very telling. Like Jon said, not going to agree with everybody, and you're going to have difference of opinions, but he's got to do whatever works for him and how he goes through life from here on out. So I know that there is a podcast of the Wicked coming up for, if you're not familiar with it, some Iced Earth fans have a podcast called Podcast of the Wicked, and I'm sure they'll be talking about this as well. So hopefully that works out, and maybe Jon will show up on there. That would be cool too. So anyway, you guys take care. Thanks for joining me. See you in the conclusion video. Later.